We go from the floor to the ceiling. We fly, we fall, we get back up and try again. Some do, some don't, some will, some won't. I wanna feel just a little, just a little, just a little. Put my heart in the middle, in the middle, in the middle. Wanna live just a little, just a little, just a little. Wanna feel just a little, just a little. Little bit more, little bit more. Big heart, big plans, big dreams, and we ain't even sleeping. Who can? We can. We dive right into the deep end. You win, you lose. You get back up and try again. Some do, some don't, some will, some won't. I wanna feel just a little, just a little, just a little. Put my heart in the middle, in the middle, in the middle. Wanna live just a little, just a little, just a little. Wanna feel just a little, just a little, little bit more, little bit more. I want it all, please don't judge me. I want.
Good morning, and happy Move More Month. Thank you for joining us today for the third session in the Check It Community Conversation Series. I am Kimberly Backey, your lovely moderator for today. I am the Director of Family Preservation at Child and Family Services, a former coach for Girls on the Run, and a pacer mentor for Fleet Feet Sports in Buffalo, New York, and a very proud member of the American Heart Association Regional Community Impact Committee, representing the Buffalo-Niagara area. Since February, the American Heart Association has been encouraging individuals to check their blood pressure and know their numbers, but also to take control of those numbers through lifestyle modification and healthier habits. Thank you to all of our sponsors. This work would not be possible without the generous support of the Check It Challenge sponsors that you can see on your screen, and especially Bristol Myers Squibb for supporting today's session. If this is your first Check It community conversation, please know it's not too late to take the challenge and begin taking control of your blood pressure. You can sign up at heart.org/Check It Challenge. That is www.heart.org/Check It Challenge. Again, that's www.heart.org/Check It Challenge. Today, we have three wonderful panelists that you're going to hear from today. Dr. Mike Choi from Guthrie Vestal, Deborah Bobbitt from Health and Wellness Membership Manager at Mirabue Inn and Spa Skeneticals, and Sergeant Lukic, Executive Director for Fight for Hearts. As always, we want you to be a part of the conversation. We are looking forward to hearing from you today as well. To start, please introduce yourself in our chat box, add your name and your company and where you're joining us from. While everyone is doing that, we are going to hear from a very special survivor about the importance of moving more. Debbie, will you join us on the screen right now and explain why you check it and move more now?
Hi, my name is Debbie, and I've had 3 strokes, and I'm currently living with a brain aneurysm, so my goal is not to have a 4th. The reason I check it and move it more is because I'm important, I matter, and it takes a long time for us women to realize that. Moving more prepares me for my day. I get up early. I have an appointment with myself in the morning. I go to the Y. I work out, and I'm more alert, more focused, ready to start my day. I work at a home health care agency in a respiratory department. COVID-19 has made life very stressful for us. After a workday, coming home, snowshoeing, or walking with my dogs is a great way to relieve that stress so I can settle in and have a relaxing evening. Exercise for me is also very social. I joined the Better You program after my first stroke, and I've met several women who I still work out with to this day. 4 years later, we get together, we take exercise classes, we go on hikes, and we encourage each other. So it's a very social activity. I also enjoy going to local road races and bike races where I can meet a whole new crowd of friends and share my story. But most of all, exercise is fun. Remember when you were a kid and being active was pleasurable. And I don't know why as an adult we view it as a chore. I like to do things that I really enjoy. I swim, I golf, I go to the playground and I shoot baskets. Yes, the sight of this short, chubby, middle-aged woman chasing a basketball around a court may look odd to some people, but I really enjoy doing it. And most of all, exercise makes me feel normal. For just a few minutes, I can get out and I can forget that I'm living with a condition that could really impair my life. So I just am a normal person for those few hours each day. So I encourage you to get out, to move more, and to check it off your list. Thank you.
Wow, what a great inspiration. Debbie, thank you so much for sharing your story and being an inspiration to myself and to others. We're going to talk a little bit more about stroke in next month's Check It Community Conversation, and we'll have more information at the end of today's session on how to register. Now that everyone knows how to use the chat box through the presentations, please place your questions and comments in the chat. We'll begin to ask questions during the Q&A session with our speakers after each has presented. Just so everyone knows, we are also recording today's session. It will be available on the New York State American Heart Association's Check It Challenge Facebook event page and the YouTube channel. And if you want to share any of the great information you're learning here today, please use the handle you see on the screen at AHA New York, #CheckIt. I'll say that once again, because that's a little tricky. It's at AHA New York, #CheckIt. To kick things off today, let me do a warm introduction to Dr. Mike Choi. Dr. Choi is a family medicine physician at the Guthrie Vestal Clinic. Dr. Choi offers primary care for patients of all ages, from children to seniors, for preventive and wellness care, management of chronic conditions, and sick visits. Dr. Choi, thank you so much for joining us today. In your experience as a primary care practitioner, we're just going to ask you a few questions related to your experience and your background. We want to hear more about why you think physical activity is so important, especially when it comes to controlling blood pressure.
So there was a study many years ago that showed that if you lost just 5 to 10% of your weight, which is not much if you think about it, you can drop your blood pressure 5 to 10 points just by doing that. So we know exercise is very important to losing weight. So just by exercising, losing weight, you can actually improve your blood pressure. Exercise itself helps improve cardiovascular function, improves heart function. All of those other benefits contribute to improved heart health. We recommend about 30 minutes of exercise 3 to 4 times a week. And it doesn't have to be continuous, which is what we sometimes think, like you have to go to the gym and work out for 40, 50 minutes straight. Doing 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at lunch, 10 minutes after work, actually combines together to give you that 30 minutes. So you don't have to do it all at once. So anywhere, anytime you can get exercise is helpful. We know for men, exercise actually improves things like testosterone levels, besides just weight loss. We know that exercise improves your outlook on life and happiness. So there's multitude of benefits to exercise.
That's great. As you know, I'm an avid marathon runner and half marathon runner. I know the importance of exercising, and with a family that has a history of high blood pressure, I try to be proactive in managing and just paying close attention to my health. But I do want to ask you a question. For some people, it's very difficult to convince them to exercise. How do you talk to your patients about incorporating physical activity into their daily habits? We have, some people on the spectrum that have children and they just can't find time to work out, or, people are working. How do you talk to your patients about the importance of incorporating physical activity?
The first thing I tell people is, you should look at exercise like anything else, something you want to do, and schedule time for it, wherever it fits into in the day, Unfortunately, a lot of times, like in the New Year's, we always start and say, I'm going to exercise more, or I'm going to lose weight, but we don't have a plan. We don't put it in our schedules. If you have a haircut or nail appointment or a doctor's appointment, we write it into our schedules. Like say from 1 to 1:30, I'm going to go see my doctor, or from 2 to 2:30, I'm going to have my nail appointment. We do that for everything in life, but we don't do it for exercise. So I tell people is think ahead. Plan a time that's good for you to do exercise, whether it be early in the morning, after lunch, or even during lunch, in the middle of the day, after work, before you go home, whatever time is convenient, you want to actually plan for it, just like you do everything else. If you say to yourself, I'm just going to exercise when I feel better, it may never happen. So I think the key first is to make sure you schedule a time that works for you. And we do that with everything else in our lives, we should do with exercise. I think too is picking an exercise or a program that works for you. You know what I'm saying? Some people have bad knees and they can't walk, so something like biking or swimming is going to be better for them. Things like yoga might be better for them. So picking something that you like and enjoy that's also comfortable for your health is very important. And then finally, as far as exercise is concerned, variety is good. Some people enjoy getting on a treadmill and walking 3 to 4 times a day, but a lot of people find it boring after a while. So doing different things. It's okay to walk one day. It's okay to bike a different day. It's okay to play basketball in a different day. Vary your activities. That'll help you enjoy it and stay with it longer.
That's a great point, Dr. Tell me, we have several playgrounds throughout the city of Buffalo. Tell me, what do you suggest to parents that are struggling getting their kids to a playground? What can we do as a family to make sure that physical activity is as part of our daily routine? What suggestions or what physical activities would you suggest for families?
Right. I think, just like with anything with family, it's not just taking your kids to a playground or park, but it being involved with the activity with them. You know what I'm saying? To have your kids run around, but you sit there having a coffee, that's not going to encourage them to be active. So you want to exercise with your kids. So pick something that you enjoy that you'll do with your kids. So don't take them to the park if you're going to sit. If you like to bicycle as a family. You know what I'm saying? If you like to run, you can run as a family. Sports, we used to, grow up in the days where we play stickball in the streets or soccer in the streets. And now we only do it as an organized activity. Well, you can play sports with your kids. You can play wiffle ball with your kids. Those kind of things, I think, help not only encourage the family to exercise, but will help you to exercise. Because now you're not just exercising, you're spending time with your family.
Wow, what a great point in terms of making sure that the family is engaged in whatever you're doing. I do believe that without a plan, you're destined to fail. So incorporating family, I think it has many benefits, a physical benefit as well as a mental benefit. You are working as a family, you're keeping the kids engaged, and you're having fun, and you're spending quality time. But one last question in lieu of time. What do you tell your patients that may just be starting out a fitness routine? How do you get them to take that first step?
Well, kind of what I talked about earlier is you don't have to exercise 30 minutes in a row, you know? So I tell them, like, go for a walk after lunch for 10 minutes. You don't have to make it a big thing, you know, walk around your office, walk across the street in the parking lot, just for 10 minutes. Start with that. Do that every day. See how you do. And if you do well with that, you know, walk for like 10 minutes after work. So, you know, walk 10 minutes at lunch, walk 10 minutes after work. Start off slowly and have a consistent plan. That's usually the best way to start. You know, if you tell someone you need to join a gym and get a trainer and work 40 minutes a day, people quit really quickly. But if you start out small, it becomes a part of your life and it's something you do every day. You know, we used to tell people if you park in a parking lot, park as far as you wait from your office so you have to walk to work. That does help, you know, those little things that we don't think about helps you start your exercise program.
That's awesome. Really quick, and maybe you can tell us in 30 seconds. You mentioned walking, because a lot of times people forget that walking is a form of exercise. What is there really a true benefit of just walking?
Yeah, you know, every step you take is burning calories. So the more steps you take, it's better. I mean, just a quick story, like one of my patients said, like, when I used to work at work, I used to have to go down the hall and up the stairs to go to the bathroom. But now because of COVID, my bathroom's 10 feet away. And he noticed how much walking he lacked because he had to just walk 10 feet to the bathroom. So you can feel it when you're not walking those steps every day.
Agreed. I have stairs at my office and I try to take the stairs as best I can. I think there's like 60 stairs till I get to the top. And when I really want to exercise, I'll take the stairs, and I'll tell you by the end of that last stair, I'm like, oh, I need to take a break. So we don't want to forget taking the stairs whenever you can. But thank you, Dr. Chow, for your presentation. And we will have further questions for you later on in the presentations. As I do want to make a reminder. I do want to make a reminder to our guest here to make sure that you put in questions in the chat box. And we will move on to our next guest, which is Deborah Bobbitt. We would like to hear from Deborah. And Deborah, I'll give a quick introduction for you. Deborah Bobbitt is an exercise psychologist. Ooh, very nice. At Mirabue Inn and Spa, and a professor at Syracuse University. She offers private and group Pilates and yoga, personal training, and health coaching. How exciting is that? Deborah, it's wonderful to have you here with us today. Dr. Chow was just talking about the benefits of physical activity, but let's switch gears a little bit and talk about what's actually happening in our body when we exercise. Deborah?
Sure. Well, just like Dr. Chow said, my statement to all of my clients and everybody out there is exercising is like brushing your teeth, right? Let's start off with it every day or at some point. So a lot of different things going on inside the body. Obviously, it's getting our blood flowing. We're strengthening the muscles in our body. We're getting muscle strength, muscle endurance, flexibility. One of the things that I like to really focus on is core strength and balance. They were kind of left out of the American College of Sports Medicine recommendations, and now they're a big part of it. We're hearing about it all the time. Strengthen your core, improve your balance. So what in the And the core muscles are really in the trunk and in the pelvis. And the core exercises train the muscles in your pelvis, your lower back, hips, abdomen, and they work in harmony. And this leads to better balance and stability, whatever you're doing, any kind of your daily routines. So any exercises that involves the use of your abdominal and back muscles in coordinated fashion counts as core exercise. So even one of a great exercise that I have my clients do are bridges. So you're on your back and you're simply raising the hips up and lowering down as a core strength exercise. One of my favorite balance exercises is, and if anybody wants to go ahead and stand and give this a try, it's one that I recommend every day. And it's a very simple exercise that you'd want to probably go into a corner of a room to do this. And the first part of the exercise is you would simply raise up your knee and try to hold it there for 30 seconds, okay? Having a chair close by also works, or 2 chairs. And then so you would hold for 30 seconds. And then the next thing we would do is close your eyes, okay, for 30 seconds and hold it there. That would be your next challenge. After 30 seconds, you would open your eyes and then bring your head side to side. And this really challenges your balance, because balance is based on 3 things: the sensation in your feet. So by just standing on that one leg, that's the sensation of the feet. The second thing, by closing your eyes, okay? So that's the inner ear, or your eyesight, taking away that eyesight. And then by bringing your head side to side, challenging the vestibular system. So again, a great exercise to do for balance and core.
That's great. As I mentioned earlier, Deborah, I am an avid runner, marathon runner and half marathon. I've competed probably over 16, 17 races over the past few years, mainly focusing on half marathons. But we always hear from trainers, you want to, build your core. But outside of running, tell us about the benefits of core strength and balance exercises.
Yeah, I mean, overall, anybody that is an athlete will find that they'll be able to run more efficiently. They may pick up speed with developing those core muscles. The core, the trunk, the pelvis, all of that lumbopelvic stability, that's going to help with daily activities, whatever it is that you're doing. And again, like I said, with athletes, faster, stronger, posture, we hear a lot, right? Sit up, keep those shoulders down and back. When the core gets strong, we naturally develop a better posture. So there's so much benefit to it. And then balance, of course, is, nobody wants to end up in the hospital because they had a fall. And by strengthening your balance, that's going to lower the risk of you having a fall. Hospitalization rates are really high from people falling, right? So working on a balance routine daily. And again, the exercise that I just showed everybody, I do love planks if you do them properly. So keeping those hands separated, keeping the elbows underneath your shoulders, keeping your scapula set where it needs to be set. And then really just making sure that we are just balancing the whole entire body out. So it's training the muscles of the front of the body just as much as the back of the body, because sometimes the back of the body gets neglected.
I would agree. So I hear conflicting information about how often we should work on our core. Is there a rule of thumb that we should work our core a certain number of times per week, or is it safe to work on our core every day, or should it be every other day? So I'm interested to hear your point so that I can start doing it.
Sure. I think it depends on the individual. I like to meet with all of my clients prior to see where they are, look at the baseline, and then make a exercise prescription, as you will, based on where their core currently is. Ultimately, though, it's a daily thing, just like brushing your teeth. So there's great exercise called the Pilates Classical 5 series that I have my clients doing every day. And they say, right after I brushed my teeth, I got down on the ground and did my 5 series. So again, it depends on the individual, and definitely to see where they're currently at, and then have a prescription based on that.
Great, great. I know for me, when I exercise every day, I feel really good about myself. But I do have a question along the same line. We hear exercise is a great stress reducer. Why do you think that is?
Oh, that's a great question. I think anybody that knows once they start an exercise program, they feel better, right? They instantly feel better, and people around them maybe be motivated to start. For even just little bouts of exercise show to reduce our stress level. It pumps up your endorphins. It reduces negative effects of stress, whether stress is good or bad. And it's meditation in motion. Definitely improves our mood. And you want to just make sure that you are giving a commitment to your exercise that's realistic. So setting smart goals, like Dr. Chow said, like it's really important to schedule these things, but setting smart goals of how you're going to achieve it so that it doesn't cause you increased negative stress. So maybe setting weekly goals. I'm going to exercise Monday, Wednesday, Friday for 10 minutes if you're first starting out. Right after I chop up my vegetables for the day, that kind of thing. So making very smart, realistic, obtainable goals that are measurable. Finding a friend, changing up your routine, all of these things. And also, like, you don't have to go for an hour. You can go in these short bursts and break them up throughout the day if you don't have that full hour. And all of these things will help to create a great exercise program with reduced stress in your life.
Deborah, can you just talk a little bit, and you alluded to this a little earlier or a few steps ago regarding how stress has a negative impact on our health, but can you really talk a little bit in a couple, in maybe 2 minutes or less, how the stress has a negative impact, especially on blood pressure? Because often I think, especially in the African-American community, we don't necessarily tie the two together with stress and blood pressure, high blood pressure. But if you can talk a little bit about that, that would be great.
Sure. So what we know is in stressful situations can cause your blood pressure to spike temporarily. But the question is can stress cause long-term high blood pressure, or could all those short-term stress-related blood pressure spikes add up and cause high blood pressure in long-term? We don't have clear answers to that yet. However, exercising 3 to 5 times a week for 30 minutes can reduce our stress levels. And if you have high blood pressure, doing activities that help manage your stress and improve your health can make long-term difference in lowering your blood pressure. So your body produces a surge of hormones when you're in a stressful situation. And these hormones temporarily increase your blood pressure by causing your heart to beat faster and your blood vessels to narrow. So there's no real proof that stress by itself causes long-term, but reacting to stress in unhealthy ways to increase your risk of high blood pressure can lead to high pressure, heart attacks, and stroke. And certain behaviors that are linked to high blood pressure, such as like smoking, drinking too much alcohol, eating unhealthy foods, can also anxiety, depression, isolation. These are the things that really contribute. So there's many different options for managing your stress. So simplify your schedule. Learn how to breathe to relax, doing yoga, doing meditation. Simply exercising, and sleep, which is a big one for people, and shifting your perspective on to what is it that's really causing these stressors to increase your blood pressure, these small spikes at a time, and seeing what you can do, set goals to see how you can release that stress from your life.
I like the latter of the two, the sleeping. That's always a good one for me. I have no problem with that one. I tend to go to bed a little earlier, like around 9:30. So maybe that's why I'm stress-free right now, because I kind of go to bed early. So if anyone wants to take anything away from your presentation, is get some sleep, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Get some sleep.
Okay, one last question, and then I'll move on to our next panelist. How do you like to move more?
How do I like to move more? I personally, moving for me is it's just a constant thing. Getting up out of your chair, if you are seated at your desk, making a point, maybe at the end of each hour, to just take a little 5-minute stroll if you can. Also, it's part of your lifestyle, right? So like Dr. Chow said before, you know, taking stairs, parking far away from your destination to walk, anything that gets you up and moving. If you are seated at your desk, I've seen some really neat things where people have a little exercise routine that they do with their legs underneath their desk. But truly any way that you can move is beneficial.
Agreed. I like that. Anything that you can do that you're moving is beneficial. So our goal is to not just be complacent and just stay in our chairs at work all day, but just to kind of get up and move. So thank you for that bit of advice. And hopefully our panelists will take your advice on moving a little more and sleeping. So that's what I'm going to focus in on tonight. But thank you, Deborah,
Thank you.
for your lovely presentation. Next, just as a reminder, I do want to remind our audience to add your questions to the chat box. But next, I would like to welcome our third guest, Surgeon Lukic. And we're going to talk a little bit about Surgeon. Surgeon has a phenomenal story, and I can't wait for you all to hear his testimony. But I'll give you a little bit of background, not to steal his thunder, but I will give you just some high-level overview of Surgeon. Surgeon was born with a congenital heart defect and has survived 3 open heart surgeries. An unhealthy life led Surgeon to exercise, and eventually he became a competitive athlete. How fascinating is that? Understanding both ends of the spectrum, along with other health challenges, gives Surgeon a unique perspective on wellness, which led him to starting his own non-for-profit called Fight for Hearts. And I'll say that again, he started his own non-for-profit called Fight for Hearts. Surgeon, it's a pleasure to have you here today, and thank you for sharing your experience as a congenital heart defect survivor. I will give you some time to speak, and then as well, I'll have some questions for you, but I really want to give you a brief introduction about your story, and then we will have some further conversations. Surgeon.
Sure. So I was born in a country of Bosnia with a congenital heart defect and had 2 heart surgeries pretty much at birth, and living through the war and everything else there. I needed another surgery as my body was growing. So at the age of 12, I came to Syracuse and had my last open heart surgery at the SUNY Upstate Hospital in 1995. So, and it looks like I'll have the 4th surgery coming up soon because of that. One of the valves, the pulmonary valve, will need to be replaced as well. They only last about 20 years or so. So it's a never ending journey for me. I have to battle with that. But growing up, I got to an unhealthy weight. I wasn't allowed to participate in the gym class or any competitive sports or team sports just because of the liability, which back then I didn't understand it, and I was even very sad and depressed, but now I do understand it. So I gained a lot of weight, especially in college, pizza, wings, and studying. And it just got really bad to the point where I just needed to make a change. And then we found a boxing gym. So out of all the sports in the world, I ended up getting into boxing and had a little bit of talent, hard work, and ended up competing against all the doctors' wishes. And won 4 Golden Glove titles, and went to the Olympic trials, went to the national championships, competed for the Team USA, traveled the world. So that was my kind of the athlete portion of my life. And then afterwards, the exercise itself, not the sport of boxing, but the exercise really did wonders for me and my health. My blood pressure lowered as soon as I got to a healthy weight, and my body composition improved. I just started feeling better about myself, and I just started feeling better overall. So I knew there was something with exercise specifically, and that led me to form a company called Fight for Hearts, where we're tackling the preventable risk factors for heart disease and other chronic diseases. And we're focusing on the youth population. And the reason for that is that when we looked at the predictors of mortality, and top 5 predictors of mortality are VO2 max, which is your oxygen uptake measured in milliliters per kilogram per minute, your lean muscle mass, leg strength, foot speed, and grip strength. So those are the top 5 predictors of mortality. And your NHL and NFL combines are pretty much the same tests. So there is a parallel with longevity, health and wellness, and the performance, although being completely inactive and at a high level of any sport is also unhealthy for many reasons. And I can speak about boxing specifically. Cutting weight is one of the unhealthiest things that that a person can do for themselves, depriving themselves of liquids and basically getting rid of as much liquid as possible so you can weigh in the least amount. It's very unhealthy. So being at that elite level of any sport is unhealthy. And same thing with runners, marathon runners, they have a higher risk of atrial fibrillations. I think it's tenfold or something like that. And so being sedentary and high level, so there's sort of a bell curve where we're really trying to find the right dose of exercise, so sort of minimum effective dose that kids should be doing. So a lot of the risk factors for heart disease and other chronic diseases start in childhood: inactivity, sedentary lifestyle, and obesity. So we're targeting that with the company Fight for Hearts.
That's awesome that you are taking an initiative and your focus is on youth. As a former coach for Girls on the Run, I know the importance of exercise. I do know that statistics show that the younger we're able to work with the youth, the better off, the more likely they are to succeed, to develop some healthy habits. So thank you so much for starting your organization and really with the focus on youth. That is very dear to me. But I do have to ask you a couple of questions. Earlier, you talked about pizza and wings, or in wings, that you were an avid eater of wings. As you know, Buffalo, New York is the capital of buffalo wings. So at some point you had an aha moment and you decided that this lifestyle, what you were doing, was not it. Can you just tell us what was that moment like? What brought you to that moment as you were eating that drumstick? Did you decide no more wings, or you're going to reduce the number of wings that you eat? Can you tell us about that and how that motivated you?
Absolutely. So the aha moment was going to sleep at night at that time when I was obese. As I would close my eyes, I felt like my heart would just stop. And it was probably a little bit psychological as well, but I just felt really, really bad. I knew I needed a change at that point. And I didn't know enough back then at the age of 18, and I was a late starter, but studying engineering, I asked a lot of questions and then I learned quickly. That was really the changing point where I just felt like something was going to happen, me going to sleep every night. And that's when I started learning about nutrition as well. And as an athlete, I was focusing more on the higher carbohydrate, lower fat kind of a diet. And now I'm sitting down way more and less active than I was. I'm a little bit switched around now. I'm doing a little more of a higher fat, lower carb diet.
I definitely need to call you and talk about my diet here. I struggle with that as a runner. Low carbs, high fat, low fat, and sometimes I get all, messed up trying to figure it out, and
Yep.
it's a no win for me. So I definitely will give you a call.
Sure.
But as I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, my heart is with the youth, and I know your focus is with the youth as well. Why is it so important for you to focus in on heart health for the younger generation?
Well, I think if we develop the healthy habits with the youth, they'll grow up to be healthy adults, and they'll know more. I think right now, with the amount of information out there with social media I mean, you can find anything anywhere. There's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of noise. So wrong information can be found as well, and a lot of people, I mean, you can go to a gym, you can watch some of the gym fails on YouTube, and just see what kind of exercises and workouts some of the people are doing. And I mean, any movement is great, but some of the stuff is high risk, and I think we can educate the youth at this point, and they can grow up to be healthy and knowledgeable adults, and they can pass that around to their families and peers as well.
Excellent. I like that. I like that we're focusing on the youth and it'll be passed down to generations. So you're actually stopping some of the generational bad habits that we grew up in. So thank you. But I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit, surgeon. If hopefully you don't mind this, but I need to see this. Can you walk us through a few exercises today that we can incorporate into our day to day? We've all, our panelists have been talking about exercising, but can you just show us a few exercises that we can do to just kind of maintain some sense of normalcy in our lives?
Sure, absolutely. So as Dr. Choi and Deborah mentioned, the balance, flexibility. So there's so many things that we need to check off when we're thinking about fitness. There's balance, flexibility, mobility, all of the different energy system, ATP, phosphocreatine, anaerobic, aerobic, and then all of the strengths along the force velocity curve that we look at it, when we look at athletes. So it's a lot to think about, but it's the simplest way to do it, or the most bang for your buck, is if you combine some of the strength exercises in a circuit fashion. And there's a lot of ways to work out, so this isn't the only way, but if you're sitting a lot and you have a desk job, or right now if you're watching this and sitting down, simple circuit that you can do right now, and I'll step back. Sorry, the light went off here. It's motion activated. Hopefully it'll come back on. So I'll just step back here a little bit, and we'll go with 5 squats, and they're going to be out of the chair. And we're going to go with 5 knee to elbow, which also works on your balance. So this is one of the moves that Deborah basically showed with the balance. And we can add to that a little bit of a twist, which will help with the core. Let me just get the light. There it is. There it is. And then the last one is going to be our horizontal press, which is going to be our basically your push-up. What we can do, we can regress that and do it against the wall, make it slightly easier for us. If you want to make it more difficult, you can always do it on the floor or reduce the decline of the exercise. And form is really important with any exercise. So when you do a push-up, you want to do a scapular retraction. Make sure you're pushing elbows slightly down. You don't want to flare your elbows out to put more stress on the shoulder joints. With the squat, same thing, back straight. You want to be sitting down in a chair. You can use your arms as a counterbalance, making sure your knees are not caving in, called knee valgus. And you want to avoid going too far over your toes with your knees. If it goes out a little bit, it's fine. Different body structures will tend to have that happen, especially with like basketball players where their femurs and tibias are slightly longer. They tend to go way over their toes. So it's okay, but try to minimize it. So a workout that we'll do today is 5 squats, 5 knee to elbows, and then 5 push-ups. And then the next set would be 4, next set would be 3, next set would be 2, 1, and then you're done. So you're raising your heart rate as you're doing some of these strength exercises. So you're trying to check off as many boxes in a short amount of time. So this should take less than 10 minutes, but I'm just gonna demonstrate one set so we're not going too far into it. So as far as the squat, we'll do 5. So that's 1, and you can go to parallel. That's 2, that's 3, 4, 5. So now knee to elbow right away, and do it slow, controlled, because you want to keep that balance. If you have to, you can hold on to an object or wall. That's 2, but try to keep that balance. It's 3, that's 4, and last one, 5. Good. And now we're going to do a push up against the wall. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And after that, you would go right back into the circuit, do 4s, 3s, 2s, and finish with a 1. You can take a break at any point, but elevating your heart rate will get that cardiovascular exercise in, and then you'll get some of the strength benefits as well.
That is a really great workout. You'll be surprised how your heart rate is elevated with those circuits that you're doing. So, and I like the fact that you pointed out that we can modify for some people. And believe it or not, I have trouble with one of my knees. So if I do squats, I have to hold on to a chair to be able to do that. And for the life of me, I cannot do a push-up. So one of the takeaways that I've learned today is I can do push-ups from the wall and still feel good about what I'm doing. So great. Thank you so much. And thank you for allowing me to put you on the spot to talk,
No problem at all.
let us go through some exercises. But I am going to ask you to stay on for a few minutes just so that we can allow our participants to ask some questions. But at this time, I'm going to ask my other panelists to come on screen so that they can be a part of the presentation and we can answer some questions. So panelists, if you can turn on your screens here. So, and we're going to ask some questions at this point.
Our first question from the chat box is, what are some specific tips to get going with exercise on days you just don't feel like it?
So who rather than me as assigned, does anyone want to take that question? Okay, Surgeon.
I'll take that one because I personally deal with this a lot, working from home, and I do have friends as well that are dealing with this problem. I would say start with a warm up. Just go either to the place that you usually work out, to the gym or anywhere else, and just focus on going through a 5-minute warm up. And after that, if you don't feel good about working out, go back home and go back to whatever you're doing. But I have never seen anyone that started a warm up that didn't go through an exercise. So just start doing something, get moving, get the blood flowing, and you'll start feeling better, and you'll go through a workout.
Next question.
Our next question is, what do you think of sitting on a medicine ball instead of a regular chair?
I can take that question.
Thanks, Deborah.
I actually highly recommend doing that. When I lecture at Syracuse University, I did ask one time for my students, it was a small class, if we could have exercise balls. And everybody sat on the ball during the lecture for the whole time. It strengthens the core and when you're sitting on it the right way and properly. And it also just helps to keep a little bit more focus. Also, for someone that's a little bit fidgety, it's nice because they can move around a little bit more. And I think this just overall, again, core strength that it provides to the lumbopelvic region and to the abdominal muscles and the back muscles is a great thing.
Next question.
Another question for our panel is, do you have a recommendation for a strategy for reducing the size of your waistline?
I don't know who wants to take that one because we're all waiting to hear that one. Dr. Choi, you want to answer that one?
I mean, weight loss is the best way to reduce your, waistline. But I think this is another one of those things, and we've all been saying in a sense that that shouldn't be the goal. You know what I'm saying? The goal shouldn't be to have a waistline of 32 or 29 or 28. Is really to get healthier. You know what I'm saying? Is to be fit. You know what I'm saying? To have good core strength. You know what I'm saying? Whether there's been studies done that thin people who are less active were actually at a higher health risk than people who are overweight but active. So it's not your body type that's important, it's what you do with it. And unfortunately, I think, these days we get so caught up in these measurements, you know what I'm saying? And that shouldn't be our goal, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you want to lose weight. And I set goals for my patient, I want you to lose 10 pounds this year. But it's not I want you to get to 120 in a dress size of 2, okay? So that's a long-winded answer for an easy question.
No, but I think that's so true. I think you put it in perspective, and I like that because a lot of times women, we have this perception of a Kim Kardashian look, and we got to get there, but that should not be your main focus. It's just all about being healthy, incorporating strategies to keep you healthy. So thank you for that. It's definitely helped me. So thank you for that. Next question, because I do have 2 questions that I want to ask Debbie as well.
Okay, our next question is, why does every exercise plan tell us to ask our doctor before beginning a new routine?
I'll answer that since it's towards the doctor. I think it's not so much, if every program asks you to do that, there's something wrong with the program, is that you should see a doctor and make sure you're healthy enough for exercise. And so everyone is different. If you're 20, no health problems, fine. Most programs are fine to take. But if you're older, or you have heart disease, or if you have diabetes, we want you to be careful with certain things as far as exercise is concerned. If you're diabetic on diabetic medications, we don't want you to go on these crazy diets because that can cause your sugars to drop, cause you to pass out. If you have heart disease, having too much intensity in your exercise regimen can cause you to have a heart attack, and we don't want you to do that. So really just check in with your doctor and ask him about exercise, and I'll give you some framework about what's good, what's risky, and what's not good for you in a sense. But it's nothing wrong with the program. It's really just assessing your own health, and that's important to know.
One final question, because I do want to allow the panelists to leave us with a closing thought or action that we can all take away from. So we'll have one more question.
Our last question is, if I'm monitoring my blood pressure, should I take it or after I exercise?
If you're monitoring your blood pressure, it doesn't matter when you take it before or after exercise. What I actually tell people is take it at different times of day throughout the week. So, on Monday, check it in the morning. On Tuesday, check it at night. On Thursday, check it at lunchtime, because we want to make sure your blood pressure is consistently controlled. If it's constantly going up and down all the time, your blood pressure might not be actually as stable as you think. So variety in when you check it is actually better.
Great. We've had a phenomenal community conversation. I wish we could go a little further. This topic is very dear to me, having several members of my family that have diabetes, high blood pressure, and is on medication. So the information that I was provided here today, I'm going to take back, but I wish we could talk a little further about this because it is an important topic. But I do want to ask each speaker to leave us with a call to action, a closing thought, or biggest takeaway from today's conversation besides more sleep for me. But if you can just leave us with that, I want to be mindful of everyone's time. So I'm just going to start from my left to my right. And Debbie, you are up. I wanted to hear more from you in terms of you're an inspiration. I just want to share your story with other people, especially my mom, who suffered from a stroke some years ago. So thank you for being here. But give us your thoughts.
Be like a river. A river didn't cut a canyon by sheer force in one motion. It cut it slowly over time. So no matter what life throws at you, if you have setbacks, just keep going. You may not be as strong or as fast as you want, just persevere.
Excellent. Surgeon?
I would say just understand that if the human body works in a way that if you don't use it, you lose it. So the more sitting that we do, the more sedentary that we are, the more work we have to do to maintain. And sarcopenia is a real thing after the age of 30 or so. You start losing muscle mass. So preserving your muscle, doing some strength exercises, doing some cardiovascular exercises, doing a little bit of everything is really important for health. So just get motivated and do a little bit at a time. And just like Dr. Choi said, few minutes, few times a day is a great strategy to stay motivated instead of thinking of one block of time that you have to get a workout in.
Planning is key. Deborah, let's hear from you.
So my thought on all of this is find something that you really enjoy doing, right? And then also we all are really good at something, right? And take those same motivations that help you be a great mom or a grandparent or at your work, and then use those same tools, those motivations, and apply it to exercise. Anything that you can do, again, any kind of movement. So turn some music on, have fun, call a friend. Movement, just continuous movement, because if we don't, then where are you going to live?
I like that. Keep it moving. Music always makes people, move. That's a form of exercise too. Dancing, absolutely. Last but not least, Dr. Choi.
My biggest advice would be is schedule. We schedule everything else in our lives. When we watch our TV shows, when we watch our football games, and when we tailgate and things like that, schedule your exercise. It doesn't have to be every day. It could be 3-4 times a week. It could be 10 minutes at a time, but put it in your schedule. Make it important.
Thank you. I will do that. Thank you. So again, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us today. As a reminder, our next and final check-in community conversation is scheduled for Tuesday, May 25th at 11 o'clock. We want you to be well and know the signs. We hope to see you there as we wrap up the 2021 Check It Challenge. And as always, if you have more questions, please feel free to visit our website. And Lisa, I'm not sure if you want to add anything to the final say, but if not, in lieu of everyone's time, we nailed it under 12 o'clock, under an hour. So people can have a minute or two back to their day. But other than that, we are free to go. Lisa, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
No, thank you all so much.
Okay, well, thank you again for the wonderful panelists. I've learned so much. I look forward to seeing you all next month. Again, check it, community conversations, be well and know the signs. Tuesday, May 25th, 11 to 2.